And we got exclusive today, none other than F.B.G Brick and Coby Mack paperwork. F.B.G Brick and Coby Mack paperwork. F.B.G Brick and Coby Mack paperwork. And I would be remiss if I didn't say rest in peace to F.B.G Brick and Coby Mack. All right, with that being said, hit that subscribe button, thumb up the video. I told you as these reports come in, we are dropping them. This is fresh off the press. I cannot wait to get into this, but I need you to thumb up the video. Yes, thumb up the video. Thumb up the video. This is exclusive. We are breaking this now. We finally have it. It took over a month of the Foia report. Hit that thumbs up button. Subscribe to the channel. I'm on the road to 10K. I have to get to that 10K. Then we're on to 100K and so forth. Man, we are dropping these reports. Man, I'm excited. I hope you're as excited as I am to read some of this. Let's go ahead and get to it, man. We have our first document, which is a homicide case folder for victims Jermaine Robinson and Stanley Mack. All right, now we're going to get into this. Now, into the paperwork some. And go down a little bit further. All right. We will come back and read this, but we're going to get into the case incident report here. We have an original case incident report. This incident report is dated at July 17, 2017, 14:20 hours. All right. The victim is listed at this time as John Doe, age approximately 30 years of age, and a male black. We have a second victim here listed as a Jermaine Robinson, male black, 6 feet, 192 pounds, age 26. All right, for the John Doe victim, injury extent is fatal. CFD tried to give first aid, yes. Injury type, gunshot wound, weapon used, handgun. Injury info for Jermaine Robinson, type, gunshot wound, handgun, weapon used, handgun, excuse me. Other weapon used, other unknown. CFD first aid was provided, yes. Injury extent, fatal. Suspect number 1, unknown. Relationships, none. Let's read the incident narrative. We have incident number 08736. In summary, responding officers were dispatched to the above location, where upon arrival, responding officers observed John Doe victim laying in the front of the house covered with a blue blanket at the above address. Second victim, Jermaine Robinson, was laying in the south gangway of the above address. Ambulance 14 on scene before arrival of responding officers. Ambulance number 14 related to responding officers that both victims suffered fatal gunshot wounds and were pronounced at 14:34 hours by Dr. Tarteas at University of Chicago Hospital, Ward number 928, Unit 193 on scene at 15:05 hours. Beat 360 notified area central detectives before responding officers arrived. Sergeant Smith number 2669, Beat 5190 on scene at 15:07 hours. Beat 360 related to responding officers that citizens related to Beat 360 that possible offenders fled northbound on St. Lawrence Avenue in a white Ford SUV. John Doe victim was not identified. Beat officers on scene at 15:17 hours. All right. Young are the all beat. All right. Young Beat 5274. These are all beat officers there. All right. And we have an officer notified requested John Doe victim. All right. They're pronouncing him there. All right. We'll go on. Scroll down to the next document here. We have a supplementary report document. This is a handwritten document type, and we'll zoom out a little bit. Event number is listed. In summary, Beat 323 was assigned to guard the crime scene. All right, saying he was guarding the crime scene at the above location. The next document we have is a case supplementary report. It is a method CAU code report. The date of occurrence is July 17th, 2017, 14:20 hours. All right. And number of victims is 2. Number of offenders is 1. Date submitted, July 18th, 2017, 14:04 hours. Victim, Jermaine Robinson T., male black, 26 years of age. Victim also, John Doe, male black, 30 years approximately. Suspects, unknown. All right, we have victims' injuries listed, which we have stated earlier. All right, this is a Method CAU Code supplementary report for the investigation. All right, we have a progress violence scene case supplementary report for the next document. This document was submitted on August 9th, 2017 at 17:02 hours. This is a field investigation progress violence scene report. Victims, Mack Stanley, male, black, 31 years of age. Description, black hair, brown eyes. All right. Second victim, Jermaine Robinson, male, black, 26 years. All right. We have some more death information, some more information there. All right, we're down in an investigation. We have a victim number 1, Mack Stanley, male 1, 31. Date of birth year 86. Gang affiliation, Gangster Disciples. We have a Jermaine Robinson, male 1, 26. Right. Brown, black dreads. Gang affiliation, Gangster Disciples, Jarrow City. In custody or wanted, unknown male, black, 20 to 25 years, medium complexion, approximately 5'4" to 5'6", thin build, with short dreads, wearing a black t-shirt, black pants, and a plaid blue-gray boxers. Taken to, transported to the medical examiner. All right, we're going to just get down to manner and motive. Well, the weather and lighting at time of said homicide was sunny, mid-70s, natural lighting, which means sunlight. All right, manner and motive. Offenders exits a vehicle, fires several rounds from a semi-automatic handgun, striking both victims numerous times, killing them both. Victim number 1, Mack Stanley, falls on the parkway in the front of 6326 South St. Lawrence, and victim number 2, Robinson Jermaine, falls in the south gangway of 6326 South St. Lawrence after scaling a lock gate, //gangs. Vehicle used, white colored Ford Explorer, no front license plate, green colored dealer license plate on rear. All right, we have some evidence listed. All right, just going through this evidence here. We have some Illinois driver's license, tattoo on chest, left hand and arm for F.B.G. Brick. All right, and feel free to pause it at any point to look at any evidence you feel the need to see. I will scroll through it to get to an investigation. For the sake of the video, we will go back over this in a live, so definitely turn your notifications on. All right, witnesses, we have interview 1, female 42, and another female 39. Investigation. This report is written in summary unless specifically noted and is intended to be read in conjunction with all others generated under RD number listed. On July 17, 2017, at approximately 14:55 hours, reporting detectives were assigned a double homicide at 6326 South St. Lawrence by Sergeant Roney of Area Central Homicide Unit. Upon arrival, they were met by responding officers who related the following in summary. The officers responded to a call of a person shot at 6326 South St. Lawrence and found victim number 1, now known as Stanley Mack, unresponsive on the parkway at the address. Further investigation revealed victim number 2, now known as Jermaine Robinson, in the gangway between 6326 and 6328 South St. Lawrence. He was too unresponsive, and both had been shot multiple times. CFD ambulance number 27 responded and pronounced both victims on scene via telemetry with Dr. Tarteas of the University of Chicago Hospital. Initial investigation revealed 25 expended 9mm shell casings stretching from approximately 63 redacted South St. Lawrence to 63 redacted South St. Lawrence on the street parkway and into the gangway at 6326 South St. Lawrence. Several bullet fragments were also noted near the victim's body. For a full understanding of the location of the recovered cartridges and bullet fragments, see crime scene processing report. Several dozen people gathered on the street near 63rd and St. Lawrence, causing a disturbance that required the 003rd District personnel to cordon off the area encompassing the entire block from 63rd to 64th and St. Lawrence. Several additional units responded to contain the crowd, while initial responding units secured the scene. Responding detectives observed the 6300 block of South St. Lawrence to be north and south one-way traffic with traffic directed northbound. A main east-west arterial street, 63rd, is the north of and cordoned off with crime scene tape. Marked squad cars are at either end of the block, are closing off the street and sidewalks to any vehicular traffic and pedestrian traffic. The block is residential with mostly two flat buildings lining both sides. Victim number one, now known as Stanley Mack, is face down on the parkway grass with his hands under his body in front of 6326 South St. Lawrence. His head is to the east and his feet to the west. Gunshot wounds are observed on the right side of his head near the temple, cheek, and jaw. He is wearing a white t-shirt and black sweatpants. Closer observation shows he has several tattoos on his back and arms. Notable among them are "Fuck the System" and "Clout Boys" on his back. Additional gunshot wounds are noted on the left side of his back. A cell phone with a black cover is near his right foot. Another gold-colored cell phone is on the sidewalk just east of the victim. Several fried cartridges and bullet fragments are observed on the sidewalk and parkway grass. He was fingerprinted on scene by responding forensic services personnel, and identification was later confirmed. Victim number two, now known as Jermaine Robinson, is located in the south gangway of the residence at 6326 South St. Lawrence. The gangway has a chain link gate blocking the entrance, which was, at the time of responding to the detectives' arrival, opened and unlocked. It was later learned that the gate had been locked at the time of the shooting, and the victim had scaled it in an apparent attempt to escape the shooting. It was unlocked by the resident of 6326 South St. Lawrence at the request of responding officers. Just to the west of the gate, the victim is observed lying in a fetal position with his head to the south and his feet facing east. He is a male black with braids in his hair, wearing a black t-shirt and black shorts with gray socks and black Timberland boots. A black backpack is on the ground to the west of his body. Further examination shows gunshot wounds to the left back, left flank, left lat, and left buttocks. An additional wound was found on the abdomen. An Illinois driver's license belonging to Jermaine Robinson of redacted is located in the left front cargo pocket of the victim's shorts, redacted. All right. And we have medical examiner responded to the scene and photographed the remains of both victims. Crime lab personnel arrived and processed the scene, preserving images via video and photography and collecting all known evidence. Gunshot residue kits were administered to both victims due to the large amount of fired casings recovered at the scene. Remains of both victims were transported to the morgue by BT number 372 to expedite removal for officer safety. Victim number one was identified on scene initially via description of tattoos provided, redacted, female 139, redacted, have been notified of the shooting via Facebook and came to the scene. Redacted was advised on the scene that Mack had only been tentatively identified via tattoos and is a confirmatory identification will be provided via fingerprint comparison. Redacted giving contact information for both Area Central and the medical examiner's office. Victim number two, Robinson, was identified via Illinois driver's license. Redacted found in his left cargo shorts pocket. Redacted female 142 was on scene. Redacted had been notified by a family friend. Redacted that Jermaine Robinson had been shot. Redacted not provide reporting detectives with additional contact information, including redacted phone number. Redacted was formally notified of the death of Robinson on scene, and contact information was provided. Redacted. The closest pod camera was located at 64th and Eberhard. Footage was ordered for the pertinent time frame. Private surveillance cameras were observed on the front of the residence at 63 redacted South St. Lawrence. Redacted reporting detective spoke redacted, who arranged a review of any footage taken during the time of the shooting. It was learned that the camera was not recording at the time of the shooting. Redacted female 129. Redacted on the 6300 block of St. Lawrence at the time of the shooting was interviewed and related the following in summary. Redacted was parked at 63 Redacted South St. Lawrence on the west side of the street facing northbound with the windows down. Redacted stated she heard gunshots and looked in her rearview mirror to see a male black with a black shirt charging toward another male black, shooting him in the back as he ran away. Redacted she saw the offender follow the victim westbound into a gangway while shooting. Redacted, she drove away and, as she did, noticed a white Ford Explorer with the driver's side door open in the street. Redacted drove northbound to 63rd Street and east to Champlain and north on Champlain. Redacted stopped the vehicle and called 911. Redacted then saw the same white Ford Explorer behind her on Champlain. Redacted continued to drive northbound on Champlain with the offender's vehicle following to 61st Street, where Redacted turned east and the offender continued northbound. Redacted proceeded back to the scene where she saw one victim on the parkway and one in the gangway. Redacted related that prior to the shooting, Redacted on 63rd and St. Lawrence, she had seen both victims sitting on a porch and they had seemed relaxed. Redacted described the shooter as a black male, 20 and 25 years old, with a medium complexion. He was approximately 5'4" to 5'6" with a thin build, short dreadlocks, ear length, wearing a black t-shirt, black pants, and plaid blue-gray boxer shorts, and was armed with a black semi-automatic handgun. On July 18, 2017, Cook County Medical Examiner Escobar performed an autopsy on the remains of Jermaine Robinson and determined the cause and manner of death to be multiple gunshot wounds / homicide. External examination. Number 1, gunshot wound entered the right eye, bridge of nose, lodged. Number 2, gunshot wound entered right inner forearm, exited right lower bicep, re-entered right bicep, lodged. Number 3, gunshot wound entered right rear upper thigh, exited right front upper thigh. Number 4, gunshot wound entered abdomen, left of center, lodged. Number 5, gunshot wound entered left buttock, lodged. Gunshot wound number 6 entered left rear, outer shoulder blade, exited left upper inner shoulder blade. Internal examination. 4 medium caliber projectiles and fragments recovered. All right, and we have Dr. Escobar performed an autopsy on the remains of Stanley Mack and determined the cause and manner of death to be multiple gunshot wounds / homicide. External examination. Number 1, gunshot wound entered upper right lip, exited under left lip. Number 2, gunshot wound entered right temple, lodged. Number 3, gunshot wound entered in right front of right ear, lodged. Number 4, gunshot wound entered right jawline, exited left side of neck. Number 5, gunshot wound entered right upper inner forearm, exited right elbow. Number 6, gunshot wound entered right buttock, exited right front upper thigh. Number 7, gunshot wound entered above left kidney, lodged. Number 8, gunshot wound entered mid-back, left of center, lodged. Number 9, grazed wound upper right bicep. Internal examination. 4 medium caliber bullets recovered. Additional reports to follow. All right, and the next document we have is a case supplementary report. This is a progress report. The date this was submitted was August 21st, 2017 at 11:49 hours. This is a field investigation progress report, and it lists the victims, which we know. Suspect is still unknown. We will get down to an investigation. All right, we have an investigation here. We have the victims listed and their affiliations. We still have in custody or wanted an unknown male, black, 20 to 25 years of age, medium complexion, 5'4" to 5'6". All right, and okay, weapon, 2 unknown 9mm handguns they suspect. All right, and the manner and motive. Offenders exit a vehicle and fire several rounds from a semi-automatic handgun, striking both victims numerous times, killing them both. Victim number 1, Mack Stanley, falls on the parkway in front of 6326 South St. Lawrence, and victim number 2, Robinson Jermaine, falls in the south gangway of 6326 South St. Lawrence after scaling a locked gate. Vehicle used, white colored Ford Explorer, no front license plate, green colored dealer license plate on the rear. Investigation. All right, we are going to get to the preliminary evaluation, of the fired cartridge cases was performed, and it was determined that the fired cartridge cases exhibits A1, A2, C1, E4, E5, E6, E7, E8, E9, E10, E11, E12, and E13 are consistent with having been fired in the same firearm, a firearm capable of firing 9mm Luger ammunition and has a Glock type firing pin classification with the integrated ballistic identification system. This classification is only known to be produced by Glock, Smith & Wesson, Sigma Series, and Springfield Armory XD9 Series and 9mm Luger firearms at this time. No other suspect or known firearms capable of producing this firing pin shape should be excluded as possible candidates. All right. It was determined that the fired cartridge cases from exhibits B1, B2, C2, D1, D2, E1, E2, E3, E14, E15, F1, and F2 are consistent with having been fired in the same firearm, a second firearm, capable of firing 9mm Luger ammunition and has a Glock type firing pin classification with the integrated ballistic identification system. This classification is only known to be produced, by Glock, Smith & Wesson, Sigma Series, and Springfield Armory XDS-9 Series and 9mm Luger firearms at this time. No other suspect or known firearms capable of producing this firing pin should be excluded as possible candidates. Therefore, there are 2 firearms associated with the listed fired evidence. The fired cartridge cases were all suitable for and will be submitted to the Integrated Ballistics and Identification System brass tracks database entry. All right. Footage from pods numbers listed at 6359 Langley, South Langley, 6459 South St. Lawrence, respectively, was ordered with negative results. The technician assigned to recover the video was unable to locate any tracks on either camera. This case remains in progress. All right, the next document we have is a lab report. This was submitted on August 23rd, 2017, and this is a field investigation lab report, and it lists the victims. The suspects are still unknown, or suspect. Okay, we have investigation from the lab report, so we'll get into that. Okay, this report acknowledges that the reporting detectives received a listed ballistics report and was informed that a high confidence correlation exists between fired cartridge casings recovered in the reporting detectives, the RD numbers stated on listed ballistics report. This information provided by Chicago Police Firearms Laboratory is for investigative purposes and does not represent a confirmed connection between the cases. If any other related information leads to court prosecution, an ISP report should be completed requesting a direct one-on-one comparison be done with the involved shell casings. All right. We have another lab report document here. Is on the case supplementary report for F.B.G. Brick and Coby Mack. This is a field investigation lab report. All right, and we'll get into that. This report acknowledges that reporting detectives received the listed BIA report and was informed that a high confidence correlation exists between fired cartridge casings recovered in the RD numbers stated on the listed BIA report. The information provided by the Chicago Police Firearms Laboratory is for investigative purposes and does not represent a confirmed connection between the cases. If any of the related information leads to court prosecution, an ISP report should be completed requesting a direct or one-on-one comparison be done with the involved shell casings. We have another lab report. We're doing a lot of lab work here. All right. Let's get down to the investigation part of this. This report also acknowledges that the reporting detectives received a listed ballistics report and was informed that a high confidence correlation exists between fired cartridge casings recovered in the RD numbers. So that's 3 sets of ballistic reports that come back as matches. We have a 4th lab report, and this one was submitted on January 30th, 2019 at 11:50 hours. All right, we're scrolling down to get to this investigation, and it also states this report acknowledges that the reporting detectives received the listed BIA report and was informed that a high confidence correlation exists between the fired cartridge cases recovered in the cases listed above as listed on the BIA report. So that's another lab report document. We have another lab report document following that one that was also filed on July 9th, 2019 at 9:48 hours. All right, well, I might have skipped over this before, but the motive code is gangs. Cause code, DNA, method code, person shot, great bodily harm. All right, and it seems we have some more high confidence correlation here that exists between the cartridge cases recovered in the cases listed above. All right, and the next document we have is an exceptionally cleared open other exceptional document. This was submitted on March 14th, 2024 at 12:24 hours. This is a field investigation, exceptionally clear open other exceptional report. All right, and it lists the victim. Oh wow, we have a suspect now, and we have him listed as A1 Samson Machiavel, male, black, years not listed, date of birth year 97, description black hair, dreadlocks hairstyle, medium complexion, organization Gangster Disciples, gang information listed criminal organization Black Disciples, gang identifiers, victim/witness statement. All right, and we're going to get down to an investigation here. All right, we have the victim listed as 31 at the time of death. And we know the victim's injuries for one Mack and one Robinson. But we know when they were pronounced, taken to the hospital. Family was notified for each victim. It seems Mack, a female, was notified. Both females notified for Mack and Robinson. Offender listed, Machiavel Sampson, male 1, 26 at time of death. All right. Dead. Died while in custody at Cook County Jail. Per medical examiner report, Dr. Wards determined cause/manner as 1. MDMB Benaka toxicity, acute drug toxicity. 2. Solitary fibrous tumor of the brain / accident. Wow. Okay. We have a suspect that is redacted, a male 126 also, and their information is redacted. We also have another suspect, male 131, whose information is redacted. All right, we have a weapon, 2 9mm handguns per ballistics recovered from the scene. One handgun was subsequently, tongue-tied, subsequently recovered. 1 9mm handgun, Glock 19, serial, redacted, semi-automatic, 9mm 4-inch barrel, black in color, recovered under an RD number. Vehicle used, white color Ford Explorer, no front license plate, green colored dealer license plate on the rear. Manner and motive is listed as offenders exits a vehicle, fires several rounds from a semi-automatic handgun, striking both victims numerous times, killing them both / gang conflict. And they list a lot of evidence that they inventoried here. Feel free to pause it to go over this as you see fit. I will scroll down to get to an investigation here or some potential new information. All right, we have an eyewitness to the scene, female 135. We have a third-party witness, a male 134. And we have an individual interviewed, a female 131, and it is a family friend of Jermaine Robinson, redacted. Investigation. On July 17, 2017, Detective Marley was assigned the immediate follow-up investigation of the double homicide that occurred at 6326 South St. Lawrence by Sergeant Roney of Area Central. Detective Marley and assisting detectives responded to the scene and were met by the 003rd District officers. The 003rd District officers related that they had responded to a call of a person shot at 6326 South St. Lawrence. They arrived and found a victim, now known as Stanley Mack, unresponsive on the parkway at that address. Further investigation revealed a second unresponsive victim, now known as Jermaine Robinson, in the gangway between 6326 and 63 Redacted, South St. Lawrence. Both victims had been shot multiple times. CFD ambulance number 27 had responded and pronounced both victims on the scene via telemetry by Dr. Tarteas of the University of Chicago Hospital. The initial investigation revealed 25 expended 9mm shell casings stretching from approximately 63 Redacted to 63 Redacted, South St. Lawrence. They were located on the street, parkway, and into the gangway at 6326 South St. Lawrence. Bullet fragments were also noted near both victims' bodies. For a full understanding of the locations, reference the crime scene processing report. Several dozen people had responded to the scene and caused a disturbance. This forced the 003rd District personnel to cordon off the entire block from 6300 to 6400 South St. Lawrence, and multiple 003rd District units were needed to contain the scene. Detective Marley noted that St. Lawrence was a north-south street with one-way traffic flowing northbound. 63rd Street was a main arterial street, and at the north end of the scene, the 6300 to 6400 block of St. Lawrence was mostly two flat residential block. Victim number 1, Stanley Mack, was lying face down on the parkway grass with his hands under his body in front of 6326 South St. Lawrence. His head was to the east and his feet to the west. Gunshot wounds were observed on the right side of his head near the temple, cheek, and jaw. He was wearing a white t-shirt and black sweatpants. Closer observation showed that he had several tattoos on his back and arms. Notable among them were F the System and Clout Boys on his back. Additional gunshot wounds were noted on the left side of his back. A cell phone with a black cover was noted near his right foot. A second gold-colored phone was noted on the sidewalk just east of Mack. Mack was fingerprinted by forensic services, and his identification was later confirmed. Victim number 2, Jermaine Robinson, was located in the south gangway of 6326 South St. Lawrence. The gangway had a chain link fence blocking the entrance, but was open/unlocked upon the detective's arrival. It was later learned that the gate had been locked at the time of the shooting and that Robinson had scaled it in an apparent attempt to escape. It was unlocked by the residents of 6326 South St. Lawrence at the request of the responding 003rd District officers. Robinson was observed lying in the fetal position with his head to the south and his feet facing east. He had braids, was wearing a black t-shirt and black shorts with gray socks and Timberland boots. A black backpack was on the ground to the west of his body. Further examination revealed gunshot wounds to his left back, left flank, left lateral back muscle, left buttocks, and one on his abdomen. An Illinois driver's license redacted belonging to Jermaine Robinson was located in the left front cargo pocket of the shorts. All right. Medical examiner and investigator responded to the scene and photographed the remains of both victims. Okay, we'll scroll down. Stanley Mack was identified on the scene, redacted via a description of his tattoos. Redacted had been notified of the shooting via Facebook and came to the scene. The official identification was completed using fingerprint comparison. Redacted given contact information for both Cook County Medical Examiner's Office as well as Area Central. Jermaine Robinson was identified via the Illinois driver's license found on his person. Redacted was on scene. Redacted had been notified by a family friend. Redacted but could not provide any contact information for Redacted was given contact information for both the Cook County Medical Examiner's Office as well as Area Central. Detectives noted that the closest pod was at 6400 South Eberhart and its footage was ordered. It was subsequently viewed and contained nothing of evidentiary value. Detectives noted private video surveillance at 63 Redacted South St. Lawrence. Redacted Detective Marley spoke with Redacted, who arranged for a viewing of the footage. It was subsequently learned that the camera was not recording at the time of the shooting. Detectives interviewed Redacted on the 6300 South St. Lawrence block at the time of the shooting. Redacted and was sitting Redacted parked at 63 Redacted South St. Lawrence facing northbound with the windows down. Redacted heard gunshots and looked in her rearview mirror. She saw a male black with a black shirt charging and shooting toward another male black. Redacted stated that she saw the offender follow the victim westbound into a gangway. Redacted began to drive away and while doing so noticed a white Ford Explorer with its driver's door open in the street. Redacted drove northbound on St. Lawrence and eastbound towards Champlain, then north on Champlain. Redacted stopped her vehicle to call 911. She then noticed the white Ford Explorer also on Champlain, so Redacted drove northbound with the Ford Explorer following her. At 61st Street, Redacted turned east on the and the Ford Explorer continued northbound. Redacted came back to the scene and saw that there were two victims, one on the parkway and one in the gangway. Redacted prior to the shooting, she had seen both victims sitting on the porch and they seemed relaxed. Redacted described the offender she had seen as a male black between 20 to 25 years old with a medium complexion. The offender was approximately 5 feet 4 to 5 feet 6 with a thin build, short dreadlocks, ear length, wearing a black t-shirt, black pants, and plaid blue-gray boxer shorts. The offender was armed with a black semi-automatic handgun. All right. The Chicago Police Department Forensics Firearms Lab conducted testing on the recovered shell casings from the scene. It was preliminarily determined that there were two firearms at the scene and therefore likely at least two offenders. It was determined that the exhibits listed were consistent with having been fired in the same firearm. It was also determined that fire cartridge cases from exhibits listed were consistent with having been fired in the same firearm. Both firearms, though different, were capable of firing 9mm ammunition and had a Glock-type firing pin classification with the integrated ballistic identification system. The firing pin classification is only known to be produced by Glock, Smith & Wesson, Sigma Series, and Springfield Armory XDS-9 Series and 9mm firearms. It should be noted that CPD ballistics testing is not definitive, but only to be used potentially aid in investigation. Additional pod numbers listed at 6359 South Langley and 6549 South St. Lawrence were ordered. The technician assigned the Detective Marley that no video tracks were located on either camera. In 2023, reporting Detective Denahan was assigned to continue the investigation of the double murder of Mack and Robinson. Reporting detectives received a phone call from Sergeant Ryan Delaney of CPD's Central Investigations Unit 606. Sergeant Delaney informed reporting detectives that he had information on the double murder that should be followed up on. Sergeant Delaney had been assigned as a homicide detective to Area Central Detective Division in 2017 and had been working knowledge of the double murder of Mack and Robinson. Sergeant Delaney informed reporting detectives that he had known via hearsay that one of the offenders in this case was Machiavel Sampson. Sergeant Delaney informed reporting detectives that Sampson had been in custody for two murder cases that he knew about. One case was rejected, bar to prosecute, due to mutual combatants, while the other case resulted in Sampson being charged with first-degree murder. While in custody at Cook County Jail awaiting trial, Sampson had died in his cell, supposedly from a brain aneurysm. Reporting detectives inquired via Detective Haven Matthews, who was assigned to the CPD's Cook County Jail intelligence team, and learned that Sampson had in fact died while in custody. Reporting detectives requested that Detective Matthews inquire, redacted, if there were any truth to Sampson being the offender in the double murder of Mack and Robinson. Reporting detectives further researched and learned that an autopsy was performed on Sampson's remains by Dr. Wirtz. The cause/manner was listed as 1 MDMB Benaka toxicity, acute drug toxicity 2, solitary fibrosis tumor of the brain / an accident. This can be referenced under medical examiner numbers listed. Subsequently, Detective Matthews informed reporting detectives that he had been able to verify that Sampson was one of the offenders. Redacted stated to Detective Matthews that Sampson was one of the offenders in the double murder of Mack and Robinson. Redacted was a third-party witness. He was not at the scene, but was good friends with Sampson, as they were in the same gang. Sampson had confided, Redacted, that he had shot and killed Mack and Robinson. Redacted added that many people have incorrectly identified the second offender. Redacted, the second offender was actually an individual named Redacted. Redacted stated that he knows all this via third-party statements due to the fact that he, Redacted, is a member of the Black Disciple O Block faction along with Sampson and Redacted. Redacted refused to be interviewed by reporting detectives when asked by Detective Matthews. Redacted stated that he did not mind talking to Detective Matthews, but he did not trust other detectives, and although Sampson was dead, Redacted was still alive, and he would not testify against him. Reporting detectives recontacted the lone eyewitness. Redacted agreed to be re-interviewed and look at photo arrays to further the investigation. On December 27, 2023, reporting detectives along with Detective Lopez and Detective Johnson met with Redacted resident. Redacted stated essentially the same facts as she had to Detective Marley, but added that she did not see a second offender, but did not get a very good look at him. Redacted agreed to view she added that she did see a second offender, but did not get a very good look at him. Redacted agreed to view photo arrays to attempt to identify any offenders. Detective Johnson, acting as a blind administrator, conducted the photo arrays. Redacted positively identified Sampson as the offender she saw shoot and kill one of the victims. Redacted could not identify any further offenders. Detective Johnson documented these photo arrays in a separate lineup photo spread supplementary report. Reporting detectives also noted that there were multiple lab reports in the CRIS system. The reports all referenced BIA reports and they piggybacked on each other. The final CRIS lab report stated that one of the two 9mm firearms used in this double murder may have been used/identified in 10 other incidents, 11 total with this double murder. The reference reports were redacted. Reporting detectives reviewed all of these reports. Redacted had any potential follow-up information, neither of which could aid this investigation at this time. It should be noted again that CPD ballistic testing is not definitive, as it only suggests a possibility that cases may be related. On February 6th, 2024, reporting detectives met with Redacted Jermaine Robinson. Redacted. Reporting detectives informed Redacted about the status of the investigation and that the case would be considered cleared open. Redacted stated that she understood. Reporting detectives noted that Redacted was listed in the original violent crime scene report as the individual that had notified the family that Robinson had been shot, but that no one could supply the scene detectives with any further identifiers for her. Reporting detectives asked her if she had any direct knowledge or was an eyewitness to the murders. Redacted stated that she was not a witness and did not remember how she learned of the shooting in order to have relayed that information to the family. On February 7th, 2024, reporting detectives spoke with Redacted of Stanley Mack. Reporting detectives informed Redacted about the status of the investigation and that the case would be considered cleared open. Redacted stated that she understood. In conclusion, it is the contention of the reporting detective that Machiavel Sampson was one of the offenders that shot and killed Stanley Mack and Jermaine Robinson on July 17, 2017 at 6326 South St. Lawrence. Machiavel Sampson was identified via a third-party witness, Redacted, and an eyewitness, Redacted, as the offender who shot and killed Mack and Robinson. This was corroborated via hearsay evidence obtained through CPD Sergeant Delaney, with Sampson's death in 2023 precluding him from being arrested and prosecuted. Reporting detectives request that this case be exceptionally cleared open, pending the identification and arrest of the remaining offenders. All right, we have a morgue report here. This was submitted on July 27th, 2017 at 08:51 hours. And just be mindful that there is no specific order that these documents come in. I did not arrange these documents that way. Yep, and here we have what seems to be a diagram of F.B.G. Brick's autopsy report, and we have the gunshot wounds listed for him here. And we have one for also Coby Mack as well. All right, and the next document we have is just some inquiry items when they just inventory all the evidence that they have. they print out these database documents as well, just to show us that they inventoried all the documents. And this is just more inventory information that we saw earlier. Information that we know. And again, feel free to pause at any point during this video to get a shot at any evidence that you may want to see or read through. I try to pause it at points so people can get a good glimpse if they need be. The paperwork that we have, just scrolling through some more of the forensic information. All right. Nothing to note there. Seems to be just a lot of eye clear stuff here of them inventorying information. All right. I think we're good on this one. We'll go ahead and pull up the next document after we scroll down, just to verify that this is all inventory related items. Sorry for the fast scrolling. Just trying to get through this thing here. It's like 100 pages. Okay, we have something here. All right, we have some DNA documents there for the lab reports. They took some swabs from individuals, and this is the DNA information. The BIA report, sorry for it being sideways. Let's see what we got. Okay, that's the ballistics report. And these are the high confidence correlation documents. We have some criminal history reports here that are redacted. Let's see if we have any information in these. Oh, yep. All right, we have a criminal history report here for a one Samson Machiavel, and it lists his cause and manner of death here, which is the toxicity and the tumor / accident, which is interesting. Yep, so we have McAdoo right there. Scroll down some more to get to some non-redacted information. What is this? Virtual Crime Center or something. It's completely redacted. Completely redacted. Scroll down some more. A bunch of redactions. Individual custody locator. Person search. All right, and here we have our third document, which will be our final document. This seems to be a photo lineup advisory form. So just they did a photo lineup of some individuals. What does this say? I'm not sure. Maybe that says Machiavel. Identified number 3 as the shooter. Refer to something audio recording for further information. And they circled him and initialed. So this would be McAdoo in a lineup. And he was identified and circled. And that would be his information there. Let's scroll down. Oh, these are more photo advisory lineups that they have completely redacted, which what I would assume is for the other suspects that are in this case, as this is still cleared open to prosecute. All right, we have some handwritten notes here from the scene. Blocked during exit, saw 3 males talking on the porch. Saw shooter exit a newer model white Ford Explorer. Shooter, male 1. Dreadlocks ear length, maybe. All right. I can't make that out. If y'all can, definitely hit the pause button and read that. Seems like somebody with dreads. We got more handwritten documents here. Okay. called 15 minutes before shooting, said he was on the way to his mother's house, wound up on St. Lawrence, said something, thought something was, can't make that out. All right. Requested to remain anonymous. Location of interview by phone. All right. Redacted called the area central requesting information and leads in regards to a double homicide. Victims Stanley Mack, aka Jacob Mack. Redacted Mack and Jermaine Robinson. Redacted represented herself as victim Stanley Mack's redacted. Related that she have the reason to believe that redacted, aka redacted, is responsible for shooting both victims. Redacted related that redacted and his fellow gang members hide their weapons at redacted floor and at redacted. Related that redacted is a gang member from the Parkway Gardens homes. Redacted related that redacted and his gang and the victims were involved in a rap beef, street terminology for a hip hop feud. Redacted would like to speak with the lead detective. Now we have an anonymous citizen here. Anonymous citizen called and requested the reporting detective by name. Anonymous citizen related that she was present at the scene of the crime of a double homicide. Anonymous citizen related that the GDs from Jarrow City is feuding with the BDs from the Parkway Gardens homes. Anonymous citizen related that Jarrow City is 62nd and Vernon, Eberhard, and 63rd in St. Lawrence. Anonymous citizen related that Redacted was robbed at a video shoot on Redacted. Anonymous citizen related that Redacted, the deceased, Jermaine Robinson, Redacted, of the deceased Stanley Mack. Anonymous citizen related that Redacted unknown legal name is bragging about the shooting on his Facebook page. Anonymous citizen would not provide the Facebook information to the reporting detective. Anonymous citizen related that the post has since been deleted. All right, we have another statement here. Redacted called the area central in regards to a double homicide of the victims listed. All right, and Redacted represented herself as victim Jermaine Robinson. Redacted related that she has reason to believe that Redacted, aka Redacted and Redacted, related that the shooters are from the Parkway Gardens homes. Redacted related that Redacted was recently released from jail. Redacted would like to speak with the investigative detective about leads. All right, I think that's it for those anonymous statements. So we have something here. Saw YouTube video, said it was posted 3 days ago, said it had details of case. Something wearing cap or cap 12 is the one who shot Redacted. Not something was the other shooter. Is heard there were two. Status updated. All right, I can't really make this out. Drive by. Tattoos. Okay, some identification. Victim number 2. And there listed information there. Okay, this is a scene of a drawing of the scene, crime scene. So I think, sure what these are, maybe gangway, something like that. This would be Parkway maybe. This would be the house. Street, okay. All right, we have something here. Blue minivan is victims. Oh, this is from a statement, female 139, Stanley Mack. The blue minivan is victims. Minivan parked at 63 Redacted, South St. Lawrence. Victim staying with his Redacted. Victim was being chased while on scooter. He was shot and was laying on the ground. Scooter was redacted. Is that shooter? Scooter. That is Scooter. Was redacted. The shooters then chased other victim. Okay. Redacted heard from victim's other BM through Facebook that he had been shot. Redacted came over to see for herself. Okay. All right. We have reporting detective spoke with Redacted, related that the Dodge Caravan associated with the crime scene belongs to Stanley Mack. Redacted related that Stanley Mack has a tattoo of Donald Trump's face on his back and the word faith on his chest. All right, the reporting detective spoke with Redacted, who related that Robinson, okay, this is just identifications. All right, let's see what this individual was saying. I think this is a male, not sure how old. Was walking down on 63rd Street westbound when two males, black/white with semis, jumped into a car, small something, four-door, heard 9 shots fast, saw one man fall onto the grass. Car went backwards towards 64th Street. Then he called 911. Police came out. Both offenders, white t-shirts, black pants. Something shoes, no hats, low cut, ×2, no braids. All right, and this is just the pod footage locations. And the canvas, they thought it was firecrackers. This individual heard 7 or 8 shots. Okay. They're doing a canvas there. No answer, no answer. No answers. Says she heard what she thought was fireworks, about 6. Male 1 on a scooter, eastbound on 64, flying fast, followed by 2 cars, one which was white. Male 1 victim jumped off the scooter. She heard shots and saw male 1 from scooter laying in the grass. Female 139 spoke to her in person. Camera does not work. Okay. Okay, building has cameras mounted. Right, they're doing more canvases here. Again, feel free to pause at any point in time while you're watching. Victim 2, he was in the South Gangway. Listed description here. Low fades, white t-shirts. Says one was wearing a short and dark shirt, had a string bag on my back. Okay, so it's another witness. Seems like there are a lot of witnesses to this homicide here. Victims, Jermaine Robinson, possibly driving parked blue Grand Caravan on the scene. And they list Stanley Mack with some redaction underneath of his name. Says police officers stated that Redacted got robbed last night in area of 63rd and St. Lawrence. Also robbed was Redacted. Redacted blamed Redacted set him up to be robbed. Redacted told Redacted they robbed me too and offered to give Redacted some cash. Redacted, his buddies were, I think, pissed and refused the cash. Victim Jermaine Robinson is redacted. All right, and we have some Facebook accounts here that are redacted. Okay, PCAD, got some responding officers. And this is more of the canvas when they're going door to door. It says, let's actually read this. Redacted stated that a bullet struck the south wall of his living room and shattered the front window. Wow. Redacted stated that he does not know the victim or the female black was sitting on the porch. So there's a female black on the porch. Redacted stated that the victim, along with victim that's laying in the gangway, were sitting on the porch at 63 Redacted talking to a female around 12 p.m. Redacted looked out the window and saw the victim laying in the grass. This is an 83-year-old potentially. Stanley Mack, Redacted, was getting off the train and heard gunfire. Redacted was getting off the train and heard gunfire. Redacted heard that Stanley was dead. Stanley and Jermaine, Redacted on there. Okay, he was riding a scooter, so I guess that was a scooter. Okay, and this is a bullet hole in the front, something window frame. I guess this is a drawing of where the bullet landed. Okay, and we have a crime scene recreation here. Black tee, black shorts, black backpack. We have a legend down here. And these would be all the firing shell casings and the fragments. Seems to be a USB charger that fell out. Seems to be 23 fired shots. All the locations of the fired casings. All right, we have some anonymous giving tips. They say Redacted is the offender. Video shoot last night. Redacted white car with New York plates taken but returned. Okay, just scrolling through some documents there. We have another document just with some more follow-up information from them canvassing the scene and getting a lot of witness information, it seems, in documenting the scene. And these are all of the handwritten notes. Very active on social media, talking about gangs. Okay. Photo array at her apartment. She positively identified Mackabell Sampson as the shooter. Mackabell Sampson. NCCJ awaiting trial for murder. Died. They have brain tumor with a question mark. Committed multiple murders in 2017. He's charged with one. Double hearsay only. And they're listing that he is a member of O Block. They list the other homicide that he was accused of or spoken of in. And the say, I guess offenders involved with those cases, they wanted to document those as well. Okay. Found property. Right, we got some big redaction blocks. Let me zoom out here. Let's see what we get. If that might be the end. Yep. And that takes us down to the end. I appreciate y'all for sticking this one out with me. If you have not done so already, hit that subscribe button and get down in the comments and let me know what you think of this. This is exclusive. you know, thank me later, man. I appreciate all of y'all. Thank you for subscribing and watching. Thumb up the video. Peace.